Hey, this is Matthew Rix, and today on the Music Business Newsletter, we have an email from a drummer in Switzerland who basically his music's being distributed without his permission. And so we're going to try to help him out and see what we can do. But if you have a question on the music industry that you'd like for me to answer, just go to MatthewRix.com, click submit your question, give me as many details as possible, and we'll answer it here on the channel. But now for the email. He says, "Hey Matthew, my name is..." Well, okay. Well, I gotta give a shout out to my guy right here. He tells me his name, but then he says, "But you can call me Bob." Like, that's why I love drummers. That's why I love the Swiss. That's why I love punk bands. Like, you get it, my guy. You get it. We say Bob to protect the innocent. Don't want anybody getting in trouble for having an email read on this channel. Anyways. Let's continue. He says, "I'm the drummer and the unofficial manager for a Swiss punk band based in Basel, Switzerland." Basel? He says, "I came across your YouTube channel recently and ended up binge watching a ton of your videos." Well, thank you for that. And you might be the first person from Switzerland to watch these videos on YouTube. So buy yourself a coffee as a congratulations. He says, "You seem to be the right person to reach out to because what I'm dealing with is complicated. And honestly, it's been weighing on me for years." Well, we're going to try to help you here. And I hate that it's been going on for years. And I appreciate you emailing. He says, "Let me give you some background. My band started in 1996 and we were active until around 2006, 2007. We played punk influenced by bands like Bad Religion, No Effects, and that whole era of melodic skate punk." That was, and now the crust punks are going to come after me and say I'm wrong or I'm a poser or whatever. But the time that you were in a punk band, mid 90s through the mid 2000s, that was peak punk music right there. Love Bad Religion. Actually, I've worked with those guys in that band a while back. Great guys. No Effects wasn't really my thing, but I will always appreciate what they did for music. But Rancid's the GOAT. You don't mention Rancid here, but in that time frame, Rancid was they were rocking out. But you were probably big into MXPX. You were probably really big into MXPX at this point. That was peak MXPX era. Lagwagon, Bouncing Souls, all this stuff. Maybe Bouncing Souls. They might have been a little too poppy for you, but sorry. Geeking out on punk rock, mid-90s punk rock right now. He says, "In 2006, we released an album called One Day More Walls under a Swiss record label. The deal we had with them was a delivery deal." Now, if you don't know what a delivery deal is, my guy here explains it. He says, "We paid for the recording, mixing, and mastering. We own the Red Book masters. They paid for the physical CDs to be manufactured and gave us a few dozen copies for promo." So we don't know really what the deal terms were, which is not really the point of this email. But we don't know if it was a 50-50 deal, which you never do. But they paid for everything. They paid to record, mix, master it. They gave this record label the masters to distribute. They gave them back a few dozen for promo. Right then and there, doesn't sound like a great deal. But that's not the point of this email. He says, "In February 2007, everything changed. I became very ill. I had fibromyalgia. And I had to stop drumming. I had a friend who went through that, and it is not a good time at all. So I can understand why you had to stop drumming. And you're signed, you're putting out an album, and then you get hit with health stuff. It's one of those when like we made it, and then you have to stop, and I hate that for you. But he says the band slowly split up after that. He says, "I stepped away from music completely, rightfully so, man. You got to take care of your health. You got to take care of you." He says, and he stepped away for about a decade. He didn't even want to look at a drum kit. Well, no, because that was like the dream. And you had the dream at your doorstep. You were signed to a label, regardless of what the deal was. You had a deal. You made an album, and then you have to shut it all down because of your health. I understand why you didn't look at a drum kit. He says, fast forward to 2018, I started getting better physically, picked up the sticks again, joined a few bands. Now, before we dive into anything else in this email, I know a lot of times I give artists like a really hard time for some of the things they do or say or propose in emails. But the fact that you stepped away for 11 years because of your health, you had to, you had no choice. And then you came back and you discovered your love for drumming, and you didn't pity yourself. You didn't say you were too old. You didn't do any of that. Like you got right back to where you were. I think that's a testament to your strength as a person. And I just want to take this moment to commend you for that. He says, I joined a few bands and rediscovered how much drumming meant to me. Very good. He says, then in 2023, we did a one-off reunion show for a friend's birthday after 17 years apart. I just want to know who this friend is that can get a band to reunite after 17 years. Like that guy must have some pictures or something. Because I know bands who, there's not enough money in the world to get them to reunite. It doesn't sound like you guys broke up on bad terms, but still after 17 years, people just kind of like lose that identity. And especially in the punk world, you'll have guys who like, oh, that's not me anymore, man, because they kind of, I guess, sold out. He says, it felt incredible. We all agreed we'd try to play more shows together, but life got in the way. A month later, on October 17, 2023, our singer, guitarist, and my best friend of 40 years, Timo, passed away suddenly. I am sorry for your loss. This is a story of constant, like, 2-step forward, 1-step back, 2-step forward, one. And the reason why I like this email so much is because as I started the Music Business Newsletter was because whatever you're going through, not only I hope to try to help you get some answers or help you dig through the weeds, but your story gets to help other people as well. You've had a couple of setbacks. When things get going, you have a couple of setbacks and you just kept persevering. Like that's a testament to you, man. But I am sorry for your loss. He says, after this happened, I felt this huge push to preserve our music, our history, and everything we built. That's when I started digging into our catalog online and realized something was seriously wrong. Dun, dun, dun. He says, our music was on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, everywhere. But we never signed a distribution deal. We never authorized it. We never received a single cent. And the name showing up on copyright strikes, The Orchard, owned by Sony. He says, I even got a copyright strike on YouTube for uploading our own songs. That's got to be a kick in the pants there, huh, Bob? He says, imagine that. Yeah. He says, then by pure chance, I ran into Martin Schrader from Leech Retta, who used to work with the record label. He told me the label went bankrupt around 2012 and that the owner basically disappeared. A lot of the Swiss punk bands were left stranded with no communication and no payouts. I think we read an email a couple of weeks ago from an artist who his hip hop label just closed overnight. They didn't distribute any music, but they just like, hey, we'll call you tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. What it looks like to me from what this email says, took the Masters and ran. That's what it looks like. And a lot of bands were stranded with no communication and no payouts. Yep, that sounds about right. He says, for the past 2 years, I've been trying to contact The Orchard. I wrote them politely, explained the situation, explained Timu's death, explained the label bankruptcy, and all they said was contact the original label owner. He says, which I've already tried. No answer, no trace of him anywhere. No one in the punk scene has heard from him in over a decade. Yikes. So here's the situation. He says, we never signed a digital distribution deal. We never approved Orchard to distribute our music. We never received any money for physical or digital sales. We cannot access the artist pages on Spotify or iTunes. We can't update our band bio or upload new music. He says, we've invested money into the album ourselves. We're being told to talk to the label that no longer exists. You never signed a distribution deal. Okay. So your first bullet point here is that you never signed a distribution deal. What you can do, this is going to be a little bit of a rabbit hole, but what you can do without getting a lawyer involved is you need to I want to contact Orchard. I want to contact Orchard at all. Because Orchard doesn't know who you are. They don't care to know who you are. Who knows how long they've been working with this label. Because if I was guessing, now don't take this as facts, but if I'm just looking at this from 30,000 feet up in the air, the owner of the label disappeared and then just got a distribution deal with one of these DSPs and just distributed your music and everybody else's music. And good luck finding him. He could be in France right now. So what I would do is I would find, I know on Spotify under an artist page, you can report that artist. I would probably start there. I would try to find the lawyers, or maybe it's legal at Spotify or legal at apple.com or something like that. That would be your second option. I would start the first one by reporting it on the artist page. Second, what I would do is I would try to find legal for all these DSPs, and I would contact them as the owner of the band. They don't care about the death of your lead singer. Unfortunately, they don't care about that. They don't care about what you went through. What they care about is you not suing them. Okay? So I would put an email in very plain terms that this is being released unauthorized. And if you have a copy of the contract, you could offer that as there's no agreement here for digital distribution. You guys actually right now, because without an agreement, the label is doing something so incredibly illegal right now. And by a byproduct, these DSPs are as well, but all the agreements is they have no liability for whatever you put out there. But you can still try to harass them. You can still try to email them every day. I mean, I would email them every day if I was you, like every day. If you can get an email address for somebody, I will give you a tip. LinkedIn's a good place to find this stuff. But I'd email them every day until somebody responds. He says, we never approved the Orchard to distribute our music. No, because it's not like the Orchard just like found your music somewhere and just put it out. Somebody is in agreement with the Orchard to put your music out. Probably, if I was guessing, I would say your former label president. He says, we never received any money for physical or digital sales. Yep, that checks. And you're probably not. He says, we cannot access the artist page on Spotify or iTunes. No, because you're not the artist. Like whoever set this up is. He says, we can't update our bio or upload new music. You should be able to upload new music without a problem. You just have to, you can't go through the Orchard. But you should be able to go through a TuneCore, CD Baby, DistroKid, whatever, and be able to upload your music, and it would appear there. He says, we're being told to talk to a label that no longer exists. Well, yeah, because they don't know who you are. He says, we want to release our first album again through CD Baby, but our artist name and pages are already taken. So I'd go ahead and release it. You're not going to have access to the artist page. I would, if you're going to plan on releasing the same album that this label has, I would change the album cover, maybe change the track listing around, because he could come in and be like, oh, they're unauthorizing, unauthorized distributing of music. So try to get around that if the best you can while you're reporting the other album, while you're contacting legal. He says the Orchard hasn't shown a shred of interest in helping us, so they're not going to. Like, I don't care. It's not the Orchard. It could be TuneCore. It could be DistroKid. It could be CD Baby. They don't know who you are. They don't care to know who you are, and you're not big enough for them to worry about. They know you're not going to sue. They know that even if you took to Instagram or X or Facebook and started railing, it's not going to hurt them. And he says, at this point, I see it as plain theft. It is plain theft, but it's not theft from the Orchard. It's theft from whoever put your album out, who's ever claimed to be the owner of your music. He says, I'm sorry if my tone sounds angry. Oh, you Swiss, you're so... I always love working with like people from Switzerland or Norway, because you'll be like, hey, yeah, we're going to do blah, 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 blah. And then the tour is going to come there and we need you guys to do da, 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 da. And they're like, we will not do that. It's like they rejected me in the nicest way possible. That is my Nordic accent right there. And I'm Polish. Well, that's not Nordic, but it's close enough. He says, it's just been 16 years of silence. And after losing Timo, preserving our music suddenly means more than ever. Of course, it's a time capsule of what you guys did together as a band. That sucks. He says, I don't have the money for an attorney, which is why I'm turning to you. Well, I'm glad. He says, what would you do in a situation like this? What's the smartest way forward when a label collapses, a distributor ignores you, and your bandmate and best friend is gone? It's a loaded question. He goes, what do you do when a label collapses? Well, in this situation, I mean, typically when a label folds, you will have, you might have a good label. When they close, they pull the masters and then you can buy them back from them because they're just trying to settle their debts. A terrible label closes, has your music still out there because they're trying to make as much money as possible, and then it jams you up. A corrupt label is when the label closes, the owner disappears, and your music magically appears online, and you don't know how. Your distributor ignoring you, they're going to ignore you. They don't know who you are. And your bandmate and best friend is gone. I hate that for you. That sucks. I've lost some friends over the years, and I can't imagine somebody of 40 years that I did music with, and we signed a deal, and it was us against the world. And if you know anything about punk, if you don't know anything about punk music, punk musicians really have, I think, one of the best mindsets in music where it's like us versus everybody. And so your bandmates are your brothers. And so to lose a brother, that's huge, man. So what I would do is I'd go to Spotify, I'd go to iTunes, I'd go to Amazon Music. I would report the album. It should tell you why you want to report it. Now, in this email, you did include links. So I'm going to go ahead and start the reporting process because I reported it to Spotify for you under the artist page. But I would do that every day. I'd get the bandmates to do it. I would do it with iTunes. I would do it with Amazon. I would find anybody that's with legal with Spotify, iTunes. Because here's what you need. You need one. You need Spotify. You need Amazon. You need one of these DSPs to pull the album because of copyright infringement or unauthorized release. One of them. Because that'll set the whole thing in motion then. Because Orchard and all of them, I don't care if it's Orchard, TuneCore, DistroKid, Ditto, whatever, they don't want to be sued. They don't want to go through the process of litigation or mediation or whatever. So if one DSP pulls it because of unauthorized use, it probably will pull it everywhere. Because Orchard's just going to, they don't want to be involved in a mess, especially with a small band. So I would make every day, I would send an email and I would report it every day. And I would list, once again, don't talk about your singer's death. It's as plain. Keep the emotions out of it, and this is the facts. The facts are, this is an unauthorized use of our music. We have never signed this agreement. Here is our, here's our masters. Here's our contract. Here's when we made the album. Whatever you guys need, I can prove to you this is not us. And I would say, don't tell me you can't afford a lawyer. None of that. I would straight up say, you have 60 days to, respond to us, get back to us, or we will take it to the next level. Don't say what the next level is. Let their imagination run wild. But that's what I would do. I would then release your album. If it's the same album cover, change the album cover. Maybe change the track listing. If it's the same album that's being unauthorized release. I would guarantee right now, if I was in Vegas and we were betting, I would say your former president of your label, wherever he's at in the world, has a distribution deal. And he's just making whatever money he can behind your back. And good luck getting it. Good luck making money. Good luck getting paid. Because you can't find them. So that's what I would do. I would go direct. I wouldn't even worry about Orchard anymore. They don't care. Doesn't matter. It's not even, like I said, it's not even Orchard. Any of these distributors, they're not going to do anything. You got to hit this where it hurts. But Bob from Basel, Switzerland, I want to commend you for your grit, your strength. I know you've had some setbacks. You've persevered. And this is just the next hurdle. It's when I read this email, it was get a record deal. I get sick. Band reunites. My best friend passes away. Want to put his music out there to keep the memory going. It's already out there. We don't know how. We're not getting paid. It's just like, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But I love your determination and your grit. Be proud of yourself that you've stood strong through all of this, because most people would have caved in 2007. Most people would have given up. Most people would have given up in 2007 and not even gotten to this point to email me. So hit us up with an email. Let us know what's the latest. And if you have an update that you want to share with the world in the classroom, please do so. And if you have a question on the music industry that you'd like for me to answer, just go to MatthewRix.com, click submit your question, give me as many details as possible, and you can be like Bob from Basel, Switzerland. But until next time, I will talk to you later.